Hey everyone. My name is Katie Moon, and welcome to the Spooky Block. I'm going to be showcasing today the speedrun for a game called Shivers. This is a Sierra Games title from 1995. Shivers is a point-and-click horror puzzle game with a similar style to like Myst or The Seventh Guest, where your friends lock you in an old abandoned museum and you decide to break into the museum and explore it. Quickly, you get locked inside. You find out that the curator had these South American spirits called Ixupi sealed in ceramic pots on display. You also find out that some high school kids had broken into the museum and let out all the ghosts. Them and the curator are dead, and now you're stuck in this museum with all of these different ghosts, and you take it upon yourself to explore the museum and solve puzzles to find all the pots and lids to seal up the ghosts once and for all. Because this is a speedrun, we're going to be flying through this museum, so you may not get all of that context in the run. There are two very unique things about speedrunning this game. The first is that there are 20 pieces that we need to collect, 10 pots and 10 lids to catch 10 ghosts. But the game only has one inventory slot, so I can only carry one piece with me at a time until it's an assembled pot and the ghost is captured. So memory is a really big factor in running this game because you have to constantly remember where you find certain things and leave things within the museum. The other unique thing about running this thing is that there is a stupid amount of RNG involved. In the vanilla game, some of the pot pieces are in known locations and there are likelihood percentages of what you'll find where. I'm going to be running the randomizer version of the game that adds additional locations that the pot pieces could be found in, and it fully randomizes what I could find where. The randomizer is really great because it lets me skip a particularly pesky puzzle in the game. And that puzzle takes like 5 minutes to run in real life, and it's just not worth it. So the randomizer allows me to skip that puzzle. So we're going to enable it now. You're going to see a seed number in the top left corner. This is our seed for tonight. Fingers crossed. I'm going to start the game, and I'm going to do a quick check just to make sure that the randomizer worked. So down here, if the mail is on the ground, that means that the randomizer is good to go, which means we are ready to start the run, and we can do a countdown starting in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so the game starts you out in the outside of the museum, and you can go up to the front door of the museum. It's locked, and there's kind of a pre-recorded message that basically tells you that it's still under renovation and not open to the public just yet. So a sane person would be like, oh darn, that's, tough luck, and just kind of like wait for your friends to come pick you up after locking you in here. Well, we're not going to do that. We're going to try and go into stupid great lengths to try and break into this museum, involving going through underground sewers and an underground river to go a back way into the museum. I'm going to try and do a quick check here, doing kind of toggling in and out of the menu here, kind of cuts a cutscene of all the power turning on to the whole museum. As you can see, I obviously got it on my first try, and we're off. Spoopy bats for Spooky Block. So we're getting on this very sketchy looking boat and crossing a river to get to the museum. And we're going to have our first ghost sighting coming up here. It's kind of jump scare a little bit out of the water on the left hand side of the boat here after this next click. Prepare yourselves. It's very scary. 90s graphics at its finest. As a child, that was terrifying, okay? Prove me otherwise. I remember hyping this game up as a child, being absolutely terrified of it, and then playing it as an adult, I was legitimately kind of nervous, like, oh, I remember this being super creepy and terrifying, and then playing it as an adult, and then that happening, and I'm just like, really? So solving a quick puzzle here to get into the elevator, and this elevator is going to take us into the museum. There are multiple elevators within the museum, and you have to do that puzzle every single time you want to use the elevator. It's absolutely obnoxious. Thankfully, this is the only one for speedrun purposes that we have to use. And we actually got a decent configuration for that puzzle. So now we're stepping into the museum with all of its 90s interior decorating beauty. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking for pot pieces because I want to capture the ghosts and cleanse the museum. So you can see it in my toolbar on the bottom. I found my first pot piece. It's on the bottom left. And like I mentioned before, there's nothing there. Okay. I can only carry one piece with me at a time. So I constantly have to be like rotating what's in my inventory and what I'm leaving there. So the pot piece that I just uncovered in that little bird statue does not go to the pot that I'm carrying. So I have to leave it there until I can find the other half of that pot so that I can catch the ghost it corresponds to. Okay, so that's also a different thing. We're gonna go downstairs into the basement of this museum real quick. We're gonna go find a quick dead body in a wall. It's nothing to concern yourselves about. In the vanilla game, it's not something that you're actually able to find until the very end. That's Beth. Hi, Beth. But with the randomizer, being able to trigger that triggers a whole bunch of events in the museum that you wouldn't normally be able to do until the end of the game. All right, so all of the different ghosts that we're trying to catch are kind of affinitive to different substances. The one that lashed out at us on the boat is the water exupy, and you can find it lurking in water fountains and other sources of water throughout the museum. Do I want to leave that there? Let's find out. And so all of the different pots that we're finding are all to different ghosts. There's a cloth ghost, there's a sand ghost, there's an ash ghost. They're all kind of affinitive to different materials, and you can find them lurking around the museum in those kind of areas. So like the ash ghost you can find in the fireplace, and the cloth ghost you can find in like piles of rags lying around, things like that. All right, so I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to run with it. So in terms of routing this speed run, it's really interesting because get out of this room, because you want to try and leave pot pieces near where you know that those ghosts might spawn, so that when you find the other half of it, you can join them together, and then it's really, really quick to be able to catch that ghost. But you can't really route because you never know what you're going to get. Even in the vanilla game, there are a couple pots that are always in the same known locations, but for the most part, everything's kind of scattered around. It's one of the things that I love most about this game because no two playthroughs are the same. I'm going to do a quick puzzle solve here to get through this machine. This might be a good time for a donation if we have one queued up.
Yeah, for sure. Got $25 from Red Silvers. The older I get, the more like Professor Windlenot I become. Good luck, Katie, and good exupy hunting.
Thank you, Red. Yeah, so Windlenot is the curator of this museum. He's the one that kind of has this whole dream, and if you play the game vanilla style, there's a lot of lore that you unlock about him and his dreams and his like getting through the scientific community and kind of getting panned by the community because he has a lot of off-the-wall stuff in this museum. There's a lot of really cool story behind. Obviously, we're not going to see today, but I strongly encourage to pick this game up and dink around with it on your off times. Okay, so that puzzle gave us a pot lid, and this is the first piece where I know where the other half is. So we're going to go back, we're going to find it, and we're going to try and catch ourselves our first ghost. This goes to the ash exupy that I had mentioned before, and there are two places that the ash exupy can be found. One is in the fireplace that was in the very first room that we entered. However, I'm going to take it upstairs and try and catch it in a different area that it can be caught in, because it's an area that we've not explored yet, and after I catch that ghost, my inventory will be open again, and then I can pick something up. So it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. You can see here that pretty much getting anywhere in this museum, you have to be solving some sort of puzzle. And there's a lot of like questionable like architectural decisions made about like why anyone would have thought that this was a good idea. Like to actually be a functional museum, trying to like, oh, you can't open this door until you do a puzzle, anything like that. The curator's bedroom is actually somewhere in this museum. We're not going to see it because it's not really super relevant for speedrun purposes, but you have to solve one of those elevator puzzles to be able to get in there. And I just imagine like having like working an entire day and then like trying to go to bed at the end of the night and then having to solve puzzles to literally get to your own bed. Like, some choices were made and I don't quite understand them. All right. So we're still on the hunt for pot pieces. That's going to be an interesting one for us. And I'm also trying to stalk this pile of ashes right here. And what I'm going to do is I want to try and trigger it to show up here. And any place that a ghost can be found in the museum, they have a spawn radius, and each location where a ghost can be found has a unique spawn radius. This one's being particularly tricky for me, of course. And what you basically have to do to try and manipulate whether or not the ghost is going to show up there is by just going in and out of the ghost spawn radius, and then it's just RNG on if it decides to show up there. And so kind of like going back and forth is a way to manipulate that. What I'm looking for is like an audio clue. There it is. So you can kind of hear the ghost like shuffling around and like some creepy music starts to play. You'll hear that anytime that you know that a ghost is nearby. I'm going to pick up the pot piece that we just found, and then I'm going to do another puzzle. It's going to be like a marble solitaire kind of puzzle, but we could probably fit another donation in if you have one, Aalaizah.
Yeah, for sure. I've got $25 from Kyle. Shivers me timbers. Let's go, Katie. I also wanted to let you guys know we're about $6,500 away from the Phasmophobia run. So if you're enjoying watching us catch some ghosts right now, definitely donate so that we can catch some more ghosts later on tonight.
Yes, I am ecstatic for that run. Awesome. We just got a really, really lucky pickup. So both pieces of this pot were right next to each other. Absolutely love that for us. So we're going to go visit now one of probably my favorite Exupy in the game. This goes to the Tar Exupy. And for whatever reason, on the underground level, if there is an underground level of this museum, there's an underground maze. And at the end of the underground maze is a river of tar. Why does this museum have an underground river of tar? Nobody knows, but there's actually an exhibit down there, which means the museum curator intended on people coming down here. The maze looks a little bit like a Windows 95 screensaver, so bear with me. We're going to buzz through it really quickly. That's also interesting choice of music down here, but we should be through it momentarily. And there's another one of these skull dials down here. You've been seeing me kind of set these throughout the museum. Those go for a long-standing puzzle at the end. And there's Tar Exupy, aka Gloopy Boy. The Tar Exupy is one of two ghosts in the game that actually gatekeeps a section of the museum. Because as you can see, there's another pot piece behind here. And you can't get to that until you take care of the Tar Exupy. So now we're going to go backwards through the maze because conveniently the piece that I picked up is the other half of it is in that Atlantis looking room that we were just in. Had I gone past that maze, it would have just dumped me back out to the main room. But this is kind of a lucky pickup. And there's that creepy music I'm looking for. And there's the sand Exupy hanging out in that sand castle right here. So 3 down, 7 to go. All right, so now that my inventory is empty, there's a room in this area that I want to check, and it's kind of, there are specific places where it's best to check them when you have an empty inventory. You can see how creaky these doors are. It takes forever to get through these doors. So I did a quick sound skip to try and speed out of those doors. But if you have something in your inventory and you enter an area that it takes a really long time to get through, having to like leave something behind and then go back and then pick something up there again is just really obnoxious. So that kind of worked out well in our favor. We picked out another pot piece where I know where the other half is. This goes to the wood Exupy, and the wood Exupy is kind of my arch nemesis a little bit. Out of all of the RNGE ghosts that we have, this ghost has a tendency to give me the hardest time in terms of getting it to show up where I want him to. So fingers crossed. I told myself in the beginning that depending on how many times it takes to spawn this one, that I could make that like a donate thing. So how many times it takes. So there's 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5's not bad. 5's not bad. Okay. So again, what I'm doing is entering the ghost spawn radius and then exiting it, because every single time I enter a radius of somewhere where a ghost could spawn, there's always an RNG chance that it will show up there. And so I'm just kind of trying to maximize that. I might want to actually leave that there, but that's okay. We're going to do a quick puzzle solve in this room, which questionably has one of the bangerest tracks in the game, or soundtracks in the game. This is the planetarium room, and it's a bop. We could probably fit another donation in if you'd like while I do more puzzle solving.
For sure. We've got $25 from Aalaizah. Thank you for supporting such a great cause. Thank you, Aalaizah.
Thank you, Aalaizah. What am I doing? Oops. There we go. Momentary brain freeze. And there's nothing there. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to leave that pot there. That goes to the water ghost, the ghost that lashed out to us in the beginning of the game. And catching that ghost is one of the most, I'm going to catch it in one of the most entertaining ways possible. Just chop the guy's head off, no big deal. This room is one of the creepiest rooms in the museum. It's all dedicated to like ways of like torture and execution. It's kind of creepy. It's got like some dark vibes. That's a mannequin. Please don't be concerned. But we picked up another pot piece where I know where the other half is. So let's go catch us another ghost. I'm just going to be backtracking to the first section of the museum. If we have more donations, we could probably fit another one in while I get there.
Yeah. Got $150 from Cruel Dragon, donating for the Phasma run with Nicole and Beth and John. Don't forget the keys, nice. And blessed be this bone. Also, don't forget for that, you could still put money towards any of the other incentives, like the Kuon phase that we're about halfway to, and then that money doubles up. You get Kuon phase and you get Phasmophobia.
Yes, I do hear that with the Kuon phases, the Yin phase involves a doggo. Just saying, just throwing that out there. Not swayed one way or the other, but very, very exciting stuff coming up. All right. One of the really cool things about this museum, like I said before, is that like it's actually kind of like a functional museum. Like there are actual exhibits. That's not what I wanted, but okay, we're gonna go with it. Like that, we are in an Egypt exhibit right there. There's like a exhibit about like exotic animals and plants. There's an Atlantis exhibit. Like there's a lot of really cool stuff, and there is like an in-house like narrator that will kind of like dictate your way through the museum. I'm gonna leave that there for right now. And like all of like the plaques around all of the exhibits in the museum like actually have like factoids and stuff on there. Not to mention all the lore in the game is really interesting. And you're kind of seeing me kind of fly around this museum a little bit, that there's a lot of like hidden secret passages and like things behind other things and like secret rooms. And we actually, in the Shivers community, I took like an architectural software to see if I could actually like map out the layout of the museum. And with our current laws of physics, it's actually impossible for this museum and its layout to exist. There would be rooms running into rooms and walls running into walls, and it would be absolute chaos. So makes it kind of a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. That's what I wanted. That there. This is one of many puzzles in the museum where the set puzzle solution is the same every time, but the distribution of the puzzle pieces are RNG. They're randomized, and so sometimes puzzles will take you 3 clicks and sometimes they'll take you 10, and it's all just dependent on what you get on the day. Right now we're in the museum theater, And the in-house museum movie is actually an in-house museum movie. It is like 90s cinematic gold. We're not going to show it today, obviously, but it's still important because showing that movie or like spinning that reel, turning the projector on will raise the curtain, and there's a pop piece playing behind the curtain. But I very, very strongly encourage everyone to, if you have access to this game or decide you want to play this game, watch the movie, because it's got this like glorious MIDI soundtrack to it, and it's all about like the curator's like adventuring escapades. Like it's cheese at its absolute finest. So here's another puzzle. Jeffrey is the name of the curator's son. This is another really beneficial area of the museum to be entering without anything in my inventory. Just as you can see, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get up here. We're going to be doing two things up here. We're going to be picking up that pot piece, and we're going to be setting this jukebox to a specific song. This is going to help us with another puzzle later on in the game. There's a bunch of random stuff loaded into that jukebox, but it has to be set to a specific song for a different puzzle later on in the game to be solved. So we're going to see what we have here. Okay, so that's going to be one of our pieces for the end game. But we have the other top to the water ghost. So we're going to go assemble the two together, and then we're going to go to the puzzle that I just activated with the jukebox. Now, I briefly mentioned the end game ghost. So there's one ghost that's the lightning ghost or the electricity ghost, power ghost, has kind of a couple different names. And that ghost is like the big bad at the end of the game. You cannot catch that ghost, even though it can lash out at you in various different places in the museum. You can't actually catch that ghost until the very, very end of the game. It's kind of found out that... yeah, I'll bring this back down. It's kind of found out that the electricity ghost is the one that's kind of like powering the museum this entire time. So when you set that that power switch in the beginning, you're kind of like activating the power ghost and kind of giving it its power a little bit. We're going to leave this here, and we're going to turn this and have a music box play. Could be good for another donation if you have one.
For sure. I've got $25 from Implied Kappa that says, this run is invalid if you do not talk about toilet abs. What are toilet abs?
We'll find out. Thanks, Kappa. Interesting. Okay. We have not found this. That's not the piece that I was hoping for. So guess we're going to continue to explore. So... like I was saying in the beginning, the ghosts are found in typical areas where that material that they enjoy is around. And what is in toilets? Water. So where is a place that we can commonly find the water ghost is in the toilets, which is a terrifying notion to think about. And so once we find another piece of the puzzle, we're going to be catching a ghost in the toilet, which is the last place that you want a ghost. All right, so we're gonna go to near the end of the museum here. And we're going to be doing two puzzles to get to another area of the museum. It's kind of like an end game area. The one puzzle that we're going to get into is kind of a run breaker a little bit, because it's kind of all RNG and there's not really a great way to speed run it. I like to call it's called either Mastermind or like Password. And basically how it works is you get 10 points if you have a symbol in the right spot, and you get 1 point if you have a symbol in the wrong spots. And there's not really a great way to run this besides just figuring it out. I'm actually going to reset that because that wasn't great. Sometimes you get a really good seed, and sometimes you get a not great seed. All right. That's helpful. Nope, I want that there. Oh, that's good. Okay. All right, let's do that again. Okay. So now I have 40 points. I know those top 4 are correct. And then it's just a process of elimination. There you go. Not too bad. If any Wordle fans are out there, you probably could have gotten that better than me. And then here is arguably the hardest puzzle in the game to beat if you're playing this casually. It's one of the easiest to speedrun because it has a set solution. But playing this game blind, I definitely had to Google the solution to this puzzle, and everyone I know also had to Google the solution to this puzzle. It's one of those things where the first misstep that you take, it's basically unsolvable at that point. It's one of those things where you kind of have to like work it backwards a little bit, maybe. There's a theory in the Shivers community that game is like so difficult that you had to call like the 1-800-SIERRA hotline for hints, because that's what you had to do back in the day. Like there wasn't Google or anything that you could just like kind of like look up the answer. You had to like call their toll-free number for like 75 cents a minute or something like that to get the hints. And we have a theory that that's how they made all their money back in the day. Just a theory. Prove me wrong. Okay, so now we have assembled pot for the cloth exupy. This is one I was hoping for a couple tries ago, but now we finally have it. This is the other ghost that gatekeeps a section. So once I go and catch the cloth exupy, it will automatically give me the location or another pot piece. And clearing the cloth ghost will allow me to catch the ill-fated toilet ghost. So let's catch our cloth ghost right here. And now that ghost is completed, there's another pot piece there. I'm actually going to leave it there for right now because that's kind of a beneficial area. The other piece of that I left right outside of here in hopes that it would show up here, and it did. So love that for us. This goes to the wax ghost, and there's a wax cobra statue in that one room. That is one of the best places that you can try and find that ghost lurking around. So hopefully they'll be there and we can catch them forever until the end of time. All right, and then we'll get ourselves a toilet ghost.
You have time for a quick donation?
Sure.
All right, I've got $50 from OMG Illithin. Hi, Katie.
Hey.
I'm super excited for you to be able to show off this game you spent so much time working on, and even more excited to donate to such an excellent cause. Good luck on the rest of the run.
Thanks, Illithin. So much love. All right, so we're trying to get this wax ghost to show up in this cobra, and so what I'm doing again is I'm going in and out of its spawn radius to try and get it to show up. I heard the creepy music, so I knew it was lurking there, and I was able to catch it. So that makes 7 down, 3 to go, and let's get ourselves a toilet ghost. Also, funny thing about this, okay, so I don't hear it, so same thing. We're gonna go in and out of their spawn radius to try and get them to show up. There they are. And look how ripped it is. Toilet abs. For whatever reason, the water ghost is the only one with a 6-pack. It works really hard on it, I guess. And weirdly enough, in an entire functional museum, this is the only toilet in the entire museum. So again, some questionable architectural decisions made there. All right, so we have 2 ghosts left to catch. And we have one more location that we need to look for a pot piece. So we're gonna go, one more click. We're gonna go just past where we went through all these puzzles, and we're gonna go through a door that has 6 skulls on it. And if you've seen me kind of going through the museum, you've seen me setting these skull dials to specific colors. Missing one of those means you can't go through this door. And it's one of the easiest things to forget in a run, and I'm really glad that I didn't, so yay. All right, so this is the crystal ghost, and thankfully that was put right there. So one more time, we're gonna get it to try and spawn into the chandelier at the top of this section here. There it is. We can hear it twinkling around. which means we are almost in go mode. Or we are, I guess, in go mode, almost ready for time. That is our 9th out of 10th ghost to capture, which means everything else has been cleansed and we are ready to get the big bad. One of the pieces was the piece that we left behind the movie theater, and then the other piece is in the library, which is exactly where we want it. So all we have to do is we have to go back down into that basement where we found Beth's body a little while ago, and the lightning ghost is going to be lurking in like the generator boiler room kind of area. We're going to capture that ghost, and then time is going to be when the 10th pot hits my toolbar at the bottom. So here we go. And then when it hits down here, that's going to be time. So there's the big bad, all of the powers leaving the museum. He's really upset about it. He's got some words about it, and time. Whew, we did it. So now there's a cutscene. For whatever reason, taking away the exupy from the boiler room makes the whole thing explode into fireworks. Because science and video games, I don't know. And then there's a quick cutscene featuring some beautiful 90s full motion video about your friends show up. It's morning, and basically they get all the credit for finding all the bodies in the museum, and the cops show up, and then they get all the credit for finding everything, and you get nothing. And that's how the game ends. So anyway, so that's Shivers. This game's available on GOG Galaxy if anyone's interested in playing it. I think it's like less than $10. The speedrunning Discord can be found on our speedrun.com page. Huge shout out to the Shivers speedrunning community for all of their support. Extra shout out to Godalfire, who single-handedly created and coded the randomizer software that I used for Shivers. And most importantly to GDQ and Frame Fatales for helping me debut Shivers into its very first GDQ event. Super happy to kick off the horror block tonight. There's even more amazing spooky things headed your way. Let's try to make sure we get that Phasmo donate or bonus game unlocked. And just donate to a great cause and keep this hype train rolling. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the marathon.
All right. Thanks, Katie, and congrats on that run. Gonna get a couple of donations in here for you. Got $50 from More Deeps. After years of watching GDQ events together, it is incredible seeing you run at an event. Toilet Ghost is best ghost. Much love, Deeps. We've got $3.45 from The Alter Maven. Cat Dragon approves of going fast and seeing an upcoming run on the good old Commodore 64. Trivia. When was the last time the C64 was featured in a GDQ? That would be 2014, when a brave individual ran Monty on the Run. Let's get the first bonus game met. We are so close to 24,000, y'all. Let's get that hit. We've got $10 from Anonymous. Double incentive bonus time? Count me in. Got $25 from Bookworm. I get too easily scared to play horror games myself, but I love watching them get speedrun. Let's get to that Phasmophobia milestone. Don't forget, if you donate to any of the other incentives, like the Yin phase where we can see a doggo, the Yang phase where you don't get to see a doggo, or the Kuon phase where we get more gameplay, that also goes towards our bonus milestone. So let's get Phasmophobia. All right, gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to have a quick message from the Malala Fund.
Campos, tenho 36 anos. Eu me envolvi no Mirim aos 13 anos de idade. Mirim é uma ONG para defender os direitos de crianças, adolescentes e jovens, com espaço para a juventude e para a criança falar. A gente utiliza, por exemplo, a arte para poder expressar o que a gente sente, então é necessário criar um ambiente seguro para poder falar de si. Algo que eu enfrentei muito é o machismo, por ver uma mulher em espaços onde normalmente estão homens decidindo. Ao defender o direito de meninas índias à educação, a gente está defendendo a existência completa desse ser. Várias meninas faltam aula porque precisam ficar com os irmãos ou a irmã menor. De fato, melhorar o acesso de meninas à educação e à educação pública. 2/3 da população recifense mora em morro, em área de periferia. Existe pouca mobilidade na cidade. Para o acesso à educação, ou é a pé, ou é de bicicleta. Muita gente chega no Mirim de forma acanhada, né, tímida. Uma delas, ela começou a participar das atividades do Mirim aos 4 anos de idade. E com o passar do tempo, Gardênia se tornou, ela era a mais jovem do grupo, mas é a que mais fala. Ela concedeu entrevista para a rádio, ela tirou foto e apareceu na primeira página do Jornal da Assembleia Legislativa do Estado de Pernambuco.
Eu gosto muito da Silva porque ela é divertida, ela ensina. O meu sonho é ser médica.
É muito difícil a gente falar de um impacto, né, na comunidade, até mesmo porque a gente não consegue chegar a todas as pessoas. Mas a gente pode falar de pequenas mudanças, né? A gente poder mostrar que existe uma organização, um grupo de pessoas que se preocupa com a vida dessa família, dessas crianças, dos e das jovens. A primeira coisa é que a gente saiba que a gente não está só, que a gente procure soluções em conjunto. A gente quem tem que decidir o próprio destino. Que elas vivam, que elas vejam que o Brasil é o lugar delas, que elas sintam orgulho de ser quem são.
Malala Fund is working for a world where every girl can learn and lead. They believe local educators and activists are best suited to address the problems girls face in their communities. Malala Fund invests in their work and collective power to create change, hold leaders accountable, and give girls the tools they need to advocate for themselves. From supporting STEM education for young women in Pakistan to creating safe learning spaces for girls in northern Nigeria, your gift today is an investment in Malala Fund programs that directly benefit girls. Also got some donations here. We've got $30 from Sin. Enjoying all the spoopy ghost content, but I need some more. Can we get to 30,000? Phasmo is worth it, and it all goes to support an amazing cause. Less than 3. Does for sure. We're at just over $24,000, so we're $6,000 away from that bonus game. Let's get that going. Let's get $5 train for some bonus hype. Got $15 from Jmar834. So excited for Horror Block and the chance to see Phasmophobia. Time to get bonus game 1. $10 from Angie Panda. Cozied in for the Spooky Block. Good luck to the runners. Don't forget, if you want some merch, we've got the Yeti. They're an official sponsor of Flame Fatales 2022. They've been official merch supporters of Games Done Quick events since 2011. And $5 from every shirt, $4 from every pin and sticker will be donated directly to Malala Fund. Got $25 from Rye. Shoutouts to Rebecca and Ruby Barbara. Thanks for that. All right, we've got $25 from Groupane with no comment, but thank you for that $25. And with that, I'm going to pass you over to Wolf Shadow for Ghostbusters 80% on Commodore 64.